You didn't lose motivation. It broke. And here's the wild part. It breaks the same way every time. Not because you're lazy, not because you lack discipline, but because something deeper snapped first. The break doesn't start in your habits. It starts in your psychology. Now, the first break is autonomy, your sense of freedom and choice. This happens when your plan starts to feel like a prison. Maybe every workout is rigid, every meal is pre-tracked. At first, it feels structured and even exciting. But over time, that structure starts to squeeze. Like turning down dinner with friends, not because you want to, but because your meal plan doesn't allow for real food. You start measuring your life by macros instead of memories. The more you follow the plan, the more it stops feeling like yours. You don't quit because you're weak. You quit because your brain whispers, this isn't my plan anymore. I'm trapped. And the moment your body feels trapped, motivation doesn't fade. It vanishes. That's one way motivation breaks. When you lose freedom. But what if it's not freedom you lose? What if it's the belief you can even get better? The second break is competence. The belief that your effort actually leads to progress. This one hits when you start to wonder, am I even capable of getting better? Like grinding a lift for weeks and it still feels off, or following the plan to the letter, but the numbers don't move. The weight on the bar, stuck, and the scale, frozen. You start thinking, I'm doing everything right, so why am I still stuck? And here's the trap. You start confusing failure with identity, like maybe I'm just not the kind of person who improves. That's not about motivation. That's about losing belief in yourself. And once that belief cracks, motivation tanks with it. But the deepest break is the one about worth. This one doesn't just whisper, you're not doing it right. It whispers, you don't deserve the results in the first place. It sounds like I always fall off, or I'm not the type of person who stays consistent, or maybe success just isn't for me. When that belief runs in the background, every win feels like luck. Every step forward feels fragile, like the progress isn't real and that failure is just waiting. So you sabotage it. You skip a session, you break the streak, or you quit right when it's starting to work. Not because you're lazy, but because somewhere deep down, you've already decided this isn't who I get to be. Here's the truth. We all have a weak spot. For some, it's freedom. For others, it's failure. And for many, it's worth. And if you want to know which one's been draining your drive, take the quiz I built. It maps out your exact fracture points and shows what reaction it's triggering underneath. I've linked it in the description below. Now, here's where it gets real. When one of those fractures hits, freedom, capability, or worth, you don't sit down and calmly choose how to respond. Your nervous system does it for you. Just like when you touch a hot stove, your hand pulls back without you even thinking about it. In the same way, your body reacts to emotional threat. That moment when your diet breaks, or you miss a workout, or you feel like a failure, your nervous system fires a survival response. Now, some people go into fight. They double down, push harder, and try to conquer the problem with intensity. If they miss a day, they punish themselves with double sessions. If they plateau, they throw in more hours, more sets, and more strain. I used to live here. I would miss a lift and immediately took the plan, stack more volume, add more pressure. It felt like control to me, but it was just panic in disguise. And sure enough, by next week, I had a flared elbow or a tweaked forearm. Too much, too fast. That's fight mode. Now, others go into flight. They avoid, go to the gym, or binge the food. Tell themselves, I'll restart on Monday. From the outside, it looks like giving up. But inside, it's the body saying, get me out of here. This feels unsafe. It becomes a loop. You mess up and then you run, you delay, you try again, and then repeat the same pattern all over again. Then there's freeze. You don't fight, you don't flee, you just stall. You scroll fitness reels, read about the perfect program, take notes, plan and replan, but you don't move. Back in uni, this was me. Deadlines, responsibilities. Instead of action or avoidance, I spiraled in overthinking, analyzing every detail of the essay, but never actually starting. That's freeze. Paralysis masked as preparation. And then there's Fawn. You people please. You bounce between trainers, download everyone else's plan, but never commit to your own. You stay busy, but never make your decisions. It feels like you're trying, but deep down, you're outsourcing your progress to other people, constantly seeking the perfect plan from a new influencer instead of just trusting yourself to execute a perfectly good one. Now, here's the key. Whichever response you fall into, you don't just do it once. You loop it. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Fail, react, fail again. That's how a fracture becomes a loop. Now let's bring this to life. Here's someone I call the strategic withdrawer. She's stuck in the competence fracture and she wants to improve. But deep down, she doubts that she can. So she starts a new program. But the moment it feels too hard or progress feels too slow, she pulls back and tells herself, I'll restart later when I'm ready. From the outside, it looks like inconsistency, but inside, it's flight mode. Her nervous system is trying to protect her from the pain of not feeling good enough. Without awareness, it just sounds like, I can't stick to anything. But underneath, it's the same loop. Try, doubt, withdraw, promise to restart, and repeat. Now take the mirror punisher. He's in a worth fracture, and fight is his default response. He grew up overweight, lost weight through restriction, and maybe even starvation. Now he swings between control and chaos. Every slip up, he sees it as a failure. One bad day feels like total collapse. So what does he do? He punishes himself, trains harder, restricts more, and then crashes. And the cycle repeats. Psychologists call it catastrophic thinking, where one mistake feels like the end of everything. Without awareness, he tells himself, I'm broken. But really, it's just the same shame, punish, and relapse loop running in the background. Now, this is where things start to shift. Psychology shows when you can name a pattern, you create distance from it. It's no longer who you are, it's just a loop that your brain is running. And the moment you see it, you can start to change it. Now, awareness doesn't fix the loop, but it's the first step that gives you choice. Now, here's what I want you to understand. You're not stuck because you're broken. You're stuck because your nervous system is trying to protect you the only way it knows how. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. That reaction becomes a pattern. That pattern then becomes a loop. And that loop keeps running your life until you name it. Now, that's exactly what the quiz below shows you. It maps out your fracture and your reaction. And then it gives you the loop that keeps playing in the background. Most people that have already taken it say it's scary, accurate, not because it tells you your future, but because it shows you the part of your story you've been repeating without even realizing it. But there's one more piece to this. Let's say you name your loop. You catch the sabotage moment, but still one bad day knocks you sideways completely. Why? Because deep down, you're still telling yourself a story about what failure means. And that story, not the plan, not the macros, not the reps, is what's really driving your consistency. In the next video, I'll break down the science of that story and show you how to flip it from something that controls you into something that drives you. Don't miss it.